For years now, the I-Team has investigated a lot of complaints involving HOAs and how they use their power, but we've never seen anything quite like this.
Yeah, so the woman in the mugshot right here wanted us to tell you her story, and she wanted us to show you her mugshot. She was arrested and spent a week in jail for what started out as an HOA complaint over her lawn.
I wish an HOA would try something like that with me, because nowadays these HOAs seem to have a little bit too much control and power for my liking. Like, for them to be able to do that and get away with it, it's insane. An HOA should only be able to do, and this is me speaking personally, should only be able to utilize their property lien rights to collect their fees if it gets to that point. So if a homeowner does decide to sell in the future, they at least can get their dues paid, because of course we all have to be responsible and hold each other accountable for the things that we did essentially sign up for. So as a homeowner, if you're in an HOA community and you're not paying your dues just to be malicious, then honestly, I think an HOA should be able to utilize that to be able to put a lien on your home to then collect their fees. But to go ahead and try to foreclose on someone's home or even put someone in jail because of grass, I mean, sometimes you just can't make some of this stuff up. Owning a home is supposed to be about obtaining some sort of freedom. But currently, that dream is at risk for 75.5 million of American homeowners, especially those that live in a crappy community. As HOAs continuously grow a presence, at least here in America, you can expect some of these issues to get worse, unfortunately. Because this does seem like the new way that corporations are going to try to acquire homes and take homes from people, which is sad to even say. But let's go ahead and dive deeper into look at how else are HOAs ruining home ownership. And let me actually say this before we continue here. I am not anti-HOAs either. I do believe there are good ones, okay ones, and bad ones that are out there. But for those HOAs that want to be all up in my business, want to control, want to dictate everything, that is where we have a problem, and where at least I'm going to butt head with whoever that HOA board community is.
Cap, fake headbutt. DeSalvo, fake headbutt. New kid, fake headbutt.
In fact, if you actually know of a good HOA community, drop it in the comments below, because they are not easy to find. Nowadays, you really have to start asking yourself, is living in an HOA community even worth it? Because one of the few ways that HOAs are ruining community is the excessive fees and assessments that are consistently being placed on communities. If you didn't know, many HOAs have the ability to increase those prices annually. And don't be surprised if it happens for no reason at all. Like, I mean, no changes in your entire community, but you're required to pay an additional fees for whatever. So you might have started at maybe $50 a month, but don't be surprised years later that that number does increase and you're just gonna have to bear the cost. And don't let a failed inspection or a natural disaster come through and literally shake the entire community up. I mean, not shake it up in terms of an earthquake or anything of that nature, but shake things up in terms of there's a lot of damages and repairs that need to be done. Because you better expect the HOA to start knocking at your door, asking you for money so that they can go ahead and make those repairs to the community for the damages that were done.
Rodriguez says she and other residents are in shock over a special assessment recently announced by the Walnut Orchards Homeowners Association, costing residents $25,000 per unit.
And if something like that happens, then chances are you just received a special assessment, which you are legally required to pay, regardless of the amount. I'm not sure if you know what's really going on in Florida with the condo crisis and stuff like that, but that's what's causing a lot of individuals to go ahead and list their homes on the market to go ahead and get their hands off of that condo, because these special assessments are insane in terms of the prices that they're giving out there. And unfortunately, if they're not able to sell it, then the next step is truly indeed getting foreclosed on. And let's get something straight here, because Florida or Georgia isn't the only two states having this issue. You have Colorado as well that's in the mix of all of this. This has all gotten to a point where now everyone is going to start feeling like this, and I think HOAs are going to be in a little bit of trouble.
Who's walking around being the neighborhood police?
These are all HOA fees.
And the money go up so high, you probably lose your house.
I will never buy another home with the HOA.
Another way HOAs are ruining homeownership is the impact on property values. So you may have saw or heard somewhere that if you live in an HOA community, that your property values or prices are going to be a little bit greater than if you were to live outside of an HOA, which could be true. Because HOAs are designed to make upkeep with the entire neighborhood, include amenities. The curb appeal on all homes should be pretty nice, which it will all resort to neighborhood cohesion. But let me share this with you, because this is a personal experience that I'm currently having. And a lot of people that I'm speaking to nowadays that are looking for homes, they're telling me, hey, no HOA. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to pay the fee. I don't want to have to deal with the fee of what it is today to then 5-10 years later have to deal with increases of prices. So this is what I'm currently experiencing now, which ultimately for all the homeowners currently living in an HOA community, that's only going to limit your buyer pool, the people who are actually willing to pay for that home so that you can go ahead and move on with your life. And if you don't have a buyer, the next step is, as a homeowner, unfortunately, you're going to reduce your prices, because you're going to want to attract the next buyer that wants to pay that price for that home in that location. At this point, a lot of you all should be aware that HOAs do have rules and regulations, so I won't spend too much time on this, but if this is new information to you, yes, HOAs are going to have rules and regulations to really maintain the neighborhood cohesion, to make sure everything is very similar all across the board. But some of the things that I do see that HOAs ban is renting out your property, especially in short-term rentals. They really hate those. In fact, you may be able to do it for a long-term rental, but short-term, you're going to have to read the fine print and see exactly what that neighborhood even allows, if it is anything on that front. Then there's also running a business out of your home. That's a really big one as well, and where HOAs really despise and refuse to allow that, which brings me to my next point, is allowing you to even have a commercial truck or car parked outside of your home in your driveway. Sometimes they are not going to want that. So yeah, they're going to have all these different rules, regulations, and things that you're going to have to comply by, especially if you're trying to live in that neighborhood. But I will say, if you know what you need, you know what you want, then there should be really no issue there. I actually had a client in the past that had an RV that he needed to park, and he was like, I'm not parking it anywhere else but my driveway. So of course, what we had to do is we had to look through the documents, make sure that RVs were allowed. And if you don't want to look through the documents, you don't want to put it through ChatGPT to go ahead and read through the documents yourself to figure that stuff out, you can always drive through the neighborhood and just see what other neighbors are doing. This is an easy way to identify what kind of fences are allowed, if there are RV trucks that can be parked in your driveway, if they are going to allow for commercial trucks to be parked in the road and not be hidden in your garage. So just driving through the neighborhood, you can get a lot of your questions answered. The only other way is truly indeed going through the documentations to see the HOA docs specifically, to go ahead and see exactly what is allowed and what is not allowed. However, if you need help with this or are looking for a real estate agent to help you identify what HOA is going to be a good fit for you, or better yet, a neighborhood specifically, then go ahead and click the link in the description below. You'll see it, and I'll connect you to one of our referral partners throughout the entire nation that will be able to assist you with this. Then you have, unfortunately, shady HOA board members. And if you're not aware, most board members are your neighbors. It's people that live in the community in itself. The issue is, there's very little people who are overwatching this, looking over, making sure that things are going the way that it should be going, which most of the time this is all going to lead to lack of transparency and accountability, financial mismanagement, and hopefully it never gets to this point in any community, but board members have the ability to go ahead and fine individuals as a way of retaliating. So be sure you know where every dollar is going, or at least someone is overlooking the board members, just so you don't end up in chaos.
Former president of the Las Colinas Homeowners Association is arraigned on felony embezzlement and forgery charges. Pepin collected $30 membership dues from residents each month. Eventually, neighbors say they started receiving invoices with added fees.
But here's something to think about. A lot of new construction communities are going to be in HOAs, so it's going to be even harder to avoid later. And as we all know, there's a lot of new construction going on because the inventory is limited, so they say. If we look back just a couple of years, about 65% of new single-family homes were built within HOAs, and that's up 49% since 2009, according to the U.S. Census. So it doesn't seem like HOA communities are going to entirely be avoidable in the near-dear future, so if you have to move into an HOA community, be sure to read the CCR. Know the rules, know what you can and what you cannot do. If possible, I would even look at the HOA meetings, especially if they've been recorded or there's some documentation of what was discussed. Read through those minutes, listen to the recordings, do something to make sure that you're walking into a good situation, or else you're going to be trapped just like everyone else that's living in an HOA community, because there's more and more buyers who are not interested in moving into those communities.
At the Villas of Sheridan condos in Hollywood.
Do you feel trapped? Oh, I am trapped.
Trapped by hefty condo association maintenance fees.
However, if you're 100% against HOAs and don't have any plan on moving into one, but you need to identify what areas or even even what homes, at least here in North Carolina, that you can move into, be sure to reach out to me. If you're looking outside of North Carolina specifically, I'm more than happy to connect you to one of our referral partners. So go ahead and click the link in the description below next to referral agent. Fill out the form entirely. That way I can get in touch with you and help you identify what areas, or at least what homes, the type of homes that you can identify and locate to move into. As I was doing the research, this was brand new news to me, and I was shocked to even find out that, did you know that some HOAs have the ability to enter your home? I was like, man, if that's the case, that is insane. We're talking about limited privacy, and even what I talked about earlier in this video, just before getting started, talk about dictating, control. If anybody that has the key to my home, I gave them the key. There should be no one in this world that has a key without me giving them physically a key to enter my home. I was like, man, if this is actually the case in some HOAs, I really caution you all to be careful on what HOA communities you go to, because that doesn't sound good at all. In fact, if you knew this, or even if you know of an HOA that enforces a rule like that, please drop it in the comments below. I'm curious, and I hope everybody else watching this reads that comment specifically to know what HOA to avoid. Because I don't know about y'all, but I would never move to a community like that where an HOA has access to my home. But like I said earlier, not all HOAs are bad, so I'm sure there are some good ones out there. Please drop your experiences in the comments below so that everybody is aware. But if you do care about curb appeal, consistency, higher property values, then you may want to consider being in an HOA community. Just make sure you know what you're agreeing to. But thank you all for watching. My name is Roney Polynice. Consider subscribing, and remember, I got your back.